Welcome to part 4 of my research proposal writing series. As I've said, this is a minimalist approach. I'm only covering what I consider to be the irreducible minimum to be in a research proposal. You can get me at those links, at those contacts. Now, I've said it, this is part 4 of a 7-part series of research proposal writing by me, Professor Bwisa of the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology in Kenya. In part 1, found at that link, we introduced the concept of proposal writing, with parts 2, 1 at that link, and 3 at that link, covering the chapter 1 of a proposal. Now this is chapter 4, which covers literature review. So, chapter 2, literature review, always or mainly generally appears as chapter 2. As I said, there are many other versions of structures, but I've chosen this one. If you scroll back to my first video, I have explained that. So, literature review is a comprehensive summary of previous research or works on a topic. The literature review surveys scholarly articles, books, and other sources relevant to a particular area of research. The review should enumerate, describe, summarize, objectively evaluate, and clarify these previous research. Let's look at it. Literature review, some key questions, and I have adapted this from that source. So there we are. Literature search and review of your topic. Look, ask questions. What are the key theories, concepts, ideas? What are the key epistemological and ontological grounds for the discipline? What are the main questions and problems that have been addressed to date? How has knowledge in the topic been structured and organized? How have approaches to these questions increased our understanding and knowledge? What are the origins and definitions of the topic? What are the major issues and that debates about the topic? What are the key sources? So, ask yourself these questions and provide answers to them in your literature review. The more, the merrier. Yes, there are types of literature review. 1, there is the argumentative review. This is a type of review that examines and analyzes literature in order to support an argument. So yes, maybe you are advancing an argument and you are looking at literature to support that argument, so it's argumentative. We have the integrative review. It critically reviews the literature to add new perspectives on the topic. There is historical review. It analyzes historical literature to show relevance with the recent developments and identify the directions for future research. There is the methodological review. This type of review provides a framework for analyzing literature at different levels. There is systematic review. It critically evaluates and summarizes all the existing research work to define a research problem. And finally, the theoretical review. This type of review is to examine the available theories and the relationship between them. Similarly, it also helps develop new hypotheses. So yes, this came from that source. You can even, read them. It's not mine, but this is a good direction on how you can do your literature and which type you can do. Now, what is the purpose of literature review? 1, you are doing literature review to find out what information already exists in your field of research. You are doing literature review to identify the gaps in the literature. You are doing literature review to find other people working in your field, scholars for that matter. You are doing literature review to identify major seminal works, seminars that have been done on it. You are doing literature review to identify the main methodologies and the research techniques and probably borrow from them. You are doing a research review to identify the main ideas, conclusions, and the theories and establish similarities and the differences. You are doing literature review to provide a context for your own research. And you're doing a literature review to show relationships between previous studies or theories. So you can use this as your checklist. Have you captured this in your literature? So we're saying literature on the topic, literature on the method, literature on the theoretical approach. You find a gap, you find a hole, and you look for debates. That is in summary. So it's not just writing stories. Write and use this one as your checklist to see how you are progressing. Now, many researchers and authors agree that writing literature review should take the structure of a funnel, starting from the general to the specific. That is a funnel, isn't it? This is a funnel. So, many agree, in this case, at that source, we agree that 1, you start the distantly related to your work, something that's not closely related to your work, the general area, that will be in the background, more to do with your topic. Remember, there's a difference between topic and title, like I have explained elsewhere. More to do with your topic area than your research question. Having covered that, you come closer to what you are doing, but not much directly. That is, you are now narrow categories. You may deal with sources in more detail. And then, third and finally in this case, research that is particularly pertinent to your work. We're talking of categories close to your research, and you may find you are looking at a few key papers in details, and therefore that is your study current research issues. So you start with the generalities and move down to the specifics. Here is another author, that is that source, tells us the same, saying theoretical groundings of your research. That's what you start with, those theoretical groundings. Then general studies that I've done in your field. Then related studies to your particular area. And then your research puzzle, that means the research question. So we're saying introduction. Introduce the topic, problem, and the context within which it is found. Then the body. Examine past research in the area highlighting methodological or theoretical developments, areas of agreement, contentious areas, important studies, and so forth. Keep the focus on your area of interest and identify gaps in research that your research investigation will attempt to fill. State clearly how your work builds on or responds to earlier work. And then you have a conclusion, summarize what has emerged from the review of literature and literature conclusions. Still on the issue of the funnel structure. Now this is a different source. Like I said, many authors agree that it should take this shape, hence I'm borrowing from quite a number of them. So we're told that the funnel shape is commonly used to structure the main body of literature review, moving from the broad issues to specific issues. There you are. Broad issues first, provide an overview, contextualize topic within wider subject, then introduce key theories or models, then narrow down, hone in on the literature that overlaps with your area of focus, can be broken down further into themes, then the specifics. Delve deep into the select few studies most pertinent to your research question. So there it is. That is the funnel approach to research. There it is again. We're talking about literature review. Let's go. The background comes first. Then why it is important, why the study is important, what research has been performed and what has been found out, the specific area you are interested in, current ideas and hypotheses in this area, and key research questions that remain unanswered. So there it is. Another view from that source. 1. Introduction, just about 10% word count. The background or history, the aims of the research, how the research findings can lead to the actual dissertation and question. Just 10% of the literature review. Then 80% will be discussion, analysis and evaluation of literature, study discussion from general main subject area, lead same evaluation to the specific research problem. That should take 80%. You see, paragraph format. And the last 10% is your conclusion. Summarize the main point. So this is the structure of literature. Let's just have an example as a paragraph taken from literature review at that source. Here it goes. Research has also been done that looks at how the bullies find their victims. Weng et al., and you're quoting, stated the perpetrators' preferences in victims. The data were collected via questionnaires and interviews, and a total of 120 bullies were involved as participants. Wege et al., again 2014, found that 27% were in the same grade. 142% were in different grades, and a staggering 49.6% were not schoolmates of the bullies. This evidence somewhat contradicts that of other studies that Take victims are generally bullied at school and at home. The findings by Wege et al. Clearly show that nearly half of the bullies prefer to bully people they do not go to school with, and possibly those that they do not know at all. This continues to build and add to the idea of cyberbullying, in that it allows bullies to create their own personas and images in order to try and intimidate others without actually providing physical intimidation factor. You can see that this paragraph is loaded with evidence and argument, and therefore, this we are saying, look at how the review is done by covering key information from the study while critically analyzing the findings. Citations are a necessary tool. So this is a sample of a paragraph in a literature review. So in a separate video on this channel, I cover the methodology part of the research proposal writing. So if you enjoyed it, please like it, share it, and subscribe. And you feel like you want to help us bring you more, then donate by reaching that website, the directions will be given, or by just dropping in something at 547-6465, that is a buy goods number. So have a nice review today. Want you.